Whether this is the first time joining us or you have been part of the Learning Associate Network family, I'm so glad you are here. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked at a student and thought, this child is brilliant, they are capable, they understand the material, so why are they not performing? We call them lazy. We say they lack motivation. We say if only they would apply themselves. But if I told you that the problem is not laziness, what if the problem is not even the lack of effort? What if the real barrier is something we cannot see, something the student cannot even name? Today, we are talking about academic trauma, the silent barrier that is keeping capable students from succeeding. And by the end of this video, you will never look at struggling students the same way again. Let me start by confronting the most common myth in education. Students who do not perform are just not motivated. We all hear it all the time. He's lazy, she doesn't care, they are not serious, and then we pile on more pressure, more homework, stricter rules, louder shouting. Even in where I come from, we even have a special formula. If you fail this exam, you will see what I will do to you. As if fear has ever been a sustainable learning strategy. But here's the truth. Most students who struggle academically are not unmotivated. They are stuck, they are wounded, they are operating from a place of academic trauma. And motivation doesn't work when trauma is present. It is like telling somebody with a broken leg to just run faster. The issue is not effort. The issue is injury. So before we label another child as lazy, we need to ask ourselves, what happened to this child that made learning feel unsafe? Let me paint a picture. Academic trauma does not always look like what you think. It is not always the child crying in the corner or acting out violently. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it looks like this. Number one, the student freezes during tests. They study, they know the material, but the moment the exam paper hits their desk, their mind goes blank, completely blank. Why? Because somewhere in their history, exams became associated with shame, with failure or punishment. Their nervous system learns to shut down under pressure. 2. The child avoids asking questions. They sit silently in the class even when confused. Why? Because maybe one teacher mocked them in primary school, maybe their classmates laughed, maybe they were punished for not paying attention. Now they would rather fail quietly than risk being humiliated again. Number 3. The perfectionist who never submits their work. They start assignment but never finish. Why? Because to them, anything less than perfect feels like failure, and failure feels dangerous. And number 4, the students who have given up entirely. They do not cause trouble, they just exist. Present but absent. Why? Because trying and failing hurts too much, so they stop trying altogether. They are not lazy children, they are traumatized children. Now, here is where we often get it wrong. We focus on behavior instead of the emotional roots. A student is not submitting assignments, so we punish them. Detention, kind of lower grades, and we call home. But we never ask, why is this happening? A student is disruptive in class, so we send them out, we suspend them, we label them as troublemakers. But we never ask, what is this child trying to communicate through behavior? Behavior is the language of unmet needs. Behavior is the symptom, not the disease. If a student is constantly seeking attention, maybe they are not getting it at home. If a student is always angry, maybe they feel powerless. If a student withdraws, maybe they feel invisible. You know how in some homes when a child is crying, we say, stop crying or I will give you something to cry about. That is exactly what we do in schools. Instead of addressing the pain, we had more pain, and we wonder why the child is not learning. Academic trauma lives in the emotional body, and until we address the emotions, no amount of behavioral management will work. Let me tell you what happens when we ignore academic trauma. These students grow up, right? They become adults who believe they are not smart. Adults who would avoid challenges because failure feels unbearable. Adults who carry shame about their intelligence for the rest of their lives. I have met 40-year-old professionals who still flinch when someone asks them a question in a meeting. Why? Because a teacher once embarrassed them in front of the class when they were 12. I have met brilliant young people who refuse to apply for opportunities because I am not good at academics. Meanwhile, they have skills, they have talents and ideas that could change the world. Academic trauma doesn't stay in the classroom. It follows students into adulthood. It affects their careers, their relationships, their sense of worth. And the saddest part is that most of them don't even know it is trauma. Just think, I am not smart enough. I want to pause here for a moment because what we are discussing is exactly why we created structured learning spaces at the Learning Associate Networks. Many educators and students know something is wrong, but they do not always have the language, the tools, or support to heal and move forward. Our courses are designed to help you process academic trauma, to build emotional intelligence, and to confidently teach and learn in today's evolving educational landscape. I will share more at the end of this video. Now, let me tell you the good news. When students heal from academic trauma, everything changes. Not just their grades, not just their behaviors, their entire relationship with learning transforms. A student who once froze during exams learns to regulate their nervous systems. They develop tools to manage anxiety, and suddenly they think clearly under pressure. A student who avoided asking questions begins to rebuild trust. They realize that curiosity is safe, that mistakes are part of learning, and they start engaging again. A student who had given up discovers they're not done. They are wounded and wounds heal. In fact, some students will shock you. The same child you wrote off as not serious will come back and tell you, teacher, I got admission to study engineering, to study medicine. And you'll be there like, wait, you, medicine, engineering. Healing unlocks potential. Because here's what happens when trauma is addressed. The brain can learn again. The nervous system can relax. The student can access their intelligence without the weight of fear, of shame, or anxiety blocking them. Healing does not just improve grades. Healing restores identity. Healing gives students back their future. So if you're an educator, a parent, or someone who works with young people, I want to leave this with you. The next time you see a struggling student, pause. Ask yourself, is this a behavioral problem or is this child hurting? Because capable students do struggle, not because they are lazy, not because they lack potential, but because they carry wounds that no one has helped them heal. You know how we say it, what does not kill you makes you stronger. Well, that is not always the truth. Sometimes what does not kill you leaves you traumatized, and trauma needs healing, not more pressure. So if you're ready to understand academic trauma more deeply, if you want tools to help you and your students heal and thrive, I invite you to check our course, Healing for Academic Trauma for Students at the Learning Associate Network. This course will help you identify trauma patterns in yourself and in students, understand emotional roots of behaviors, and create a learning environment where healing and growth can happen. The link is in the description below. Remember this, it is not laziness, it is not lack of intelligence. It is trauma, and trauma, when met with compassion and the right tools, can be healed. Thank you again for watching, and let us commit this year to seeing people, students, really seeing them beyond their behavior, beyond their grades, to the brilliance that is waiting to be unlocked. Again, Happy New Year. Let us make 2026 a year of healing and transformation. See you on the next one. Bye.